and throughout Asia allowed him to continue in his role of promoting and nurturing international economic and business ties within the increasingly important Pacific region. Governor Ariyoshi's multilingual and multicultural skills and knowledge add to his effectiveness in representing a variety of clients interested in promoting and identifying economic opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Ariyoshi. Second, we have Governor John Waihee. Born in Honoka'a on the island of Hawaii, Governor Waihee became a part of a new generation of activist Hawaiians who fought for political and cultural recognition in the 1970s and 80s. Governor Waihee was educated at Andrews University and Central Michigan University, later earning his law degree as a member of the first graduating class of the UH Richardson School of Law in 1976. In 1978, Waihee was a delegate to the Hawaii State Constitutional Convention and helped establish the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. In 1980, he won office as a state representative, and in 1982, he became lieutenant governor. In 1986, he followed Ariyoshi as governor, serving 2 terms. Waihee was the first state governor of Hawaiian ancestry. He currently serves as a commissioner and chairman of the Native Hawaiian Royal Commission, Kanai'olowalu, a campaign to reunify Native Hawaiians in the self-recognition of their unrelinquished sovereignty. How about a round of applause for excuse me, hold on. Sorry, 1 second here. We are waiting on Governor Neil Abercrombie. He should be coming in very soon.
You can't drive. You don't know how to drive.
Sorry. Going on here. I forgot my script for Mayor Carvalho. I apologize. Mayor Carvalho from the beautiful Garden Isle of Kauai. He became mayor in December 2008 as a result of a special election following the passing of Mayor Brian Baptiste. He was elected to his full term of office in November 2010 with an overwhelming 78% of the vote. Mayor Carvalho had an outstanding football career at Kapa'a High School and was offered a full athletic scholarship to UH Manoa, where he graduated with a degree in communications and public relations. After embarking on a professional football career with the Miami Dolphins, he returned to Kauai to start a family. Upon his return, Mayor Carvalho immersed himself in many community efforts. Among the leadership roles he held were president of the Kapa'a High School Parent-Teacher Association, board member of Haleho'omalu Family Center, and member of the Kawaihau District Leadership Anti-Drug Coalition. He currently sits on the Hawaii State Fatherhood Commission. The mayor is the recipient of a HMSA Olapono Award for community service, and his family was named Eastside Family of the Year by the Interfaith Council of Kauai. Mayor Carvalho began his career with the county in 1985 as a recreation leader for the Department of Public Works and worked his way up over the next 17 years. In 2002, he was appointed director of the Offices of Community Assistance, and in 2007, he was named director of the newly established Department of Parks and Recreation. Mayor Carvalho, everyone. And while he gets here, I'm just going to go ahead and read a little bit about Neil Abercrombie. Born in Buffalo, New York, Governor Abercrombie is a graduate of the University of Hawaii at Manoa. He began his political career in 1975, winning a seat in the House of Representatives. He served in the Hawaii House until 1979, when he was elected to the Hawaii State Senate. Upon the resignation of C. Seftel, who resigned from the U.S. House of Representatives to run for governor, Abercrombie was appointed to his vacant seat in 1986. Abercrombie served the remainder of Heftel's term on an interim basis until 1987. He served on the Honolulu City Council from 1988 to 1990 before returning to Congress in 1991. Abercrombie served 9 consecutive terms in the House from 1993 to 2010, representing Hawaii's 1st Congressional District, which comprises urban Honolulu. He most recently served as the 7th governor of Hawaii from 2010 to 2014. He remains busy with a new office space in Honolulu's Chinatown to run his new consulting business, which deals with helping people or companies with difficulties they may have with federal regulations. How about a round of applause? I want to offer this opportunity to you folks to just make some opening remarks.
Express my appreciation at the opportunity to be here with you. And I come because I'm a futurist, and I feel very strongly about the future. It's your future. I'm 89 years old. That's not my future. And I'm very concerned about Hawaii and what we need to do. I heard a lot of discussion taking place here about housing. Let me make some comment about housing. When I was governor, I created 7,700 homes, 7,700 homes. Half of it for sale, half of it to rental units, because I acknowledged and realized that every person cannot buy a home. So we gotta get the rental housing too. We created Hawaiian Homes Land. We created there, we had 2,400 people on Hawaiian Homes Land at that time. In one term, Billy Beamer, my Hawaiian Homes advisor, she helped me create 2,400 homes. So we doubled the number of people who come home to the Hawaiian Homes Land. I only mention this because I feel very strongly about the need for us to do some of the things in housing. I heard the speakers up here in housing. The most important question, however, is, what's the policy? What's the policy on housing? And I think that policy has to be very clearly enunciated, not by the private sector, but by the government. And not by the governor, the leader himself, but also people coming together. And I want to talk a little bit about people coming together. But I heard about agriculture and lots of ag land that may be open today. People I know want to farm, but they want to be sure that they have a future also. And the future means not only that they farm to make money now, but the ability to pass on the things to those who follow them. And that has to be part of the future. Otherwise, people are not going to work and just thinking, I'm going to make money now, and forget about the family, about children who will be coming on. So that future is very, very important. Now, I look at the housing situation that exists today now, and because we don't have a policy, and labor, construction, the developers, they do their own things. But what about somebody thinking about Hawaii's people? And that's the policy that I think needs to be developed. I was governor when we started Kaka'ako development. And my recent effort at that time was to create in an old community a new town, hoping that we can clean up the sewer system, the roads, and the sidewalk that can be put in there. I never envisioned that they were going to build it up to the point where it becomes a prime development area for large landowners making a lot of money. And they are forgetting about the need for Hawaii's people. And that's because of the lack of policy. And I think that it's very important for people to come together and try to talk about the long term. What is it that needs to be done? When I became governor, I asked the question, 15 years at the statehood, what has happened to our state during that 15-year period? And I found out that population grew to almost 2.5% every year, compared to the national growth of 0.8%. So we're growing 3 times as fast for 15 years. Our automobiles went from 200,000 automobiles to 500,000 automobiles. And I started to think about how are we going to cope with this kind of growth? What about education for all these people? Social services, health service, environmental programs. I became very concerned. And that's what made me put together a state planning effort. I wanted us to start talking about the future. What is it that we need to do in order for the future to be better? And the planning effort was not my planning effort. It was my planning effort in the sense that I got people together, all the 12 functional plans, agriculture, tourism, and economic development, housing, and everything else. And I wanted people in the community coming together and talking about the future in these areas. And to me, that's very, very important to have a policy established so that everybody, labor, developers, people in the community know everything about going on. And the other thing I have to build, I want to mention it, the housing. Somebody mentioned during the time that there was up here, Ho'opili. And that's a huge amount of land turned over to the new owner, the owners of the property. What about us asking them to give up some of that land or sell us some of that land at reasonable basis, not making huge profit on that, so that the government can take that and create the kind of housing that we need to create. And we did that. The 7,000, I only mentioned the 7,700 homes because we were able to show that we could build housing for sale, we could build housing for rental. I don't know what happened to rental units, but I can tell you that when I left the governor's office, we had 3,500 homes, rental homes, that had already been built. And somebody has to be able to put it all together. Some group has to be able to put it together. And not one group doing everything, but we ought to have many different groups looking at what needs to be done, providing the kind of direction so that people in the community, everybody, business people, people users, those who need things, can understand, will understand the policies that are set forth before them. And that's what I'm pushing very hard for. I feel very strongly. I still give many speeches here in Hawaii and elsewhere because I feel very strongly that there's a role for leaders to play, to be able to set forth the kind of thing that needs to happen. And we need some of that very, very badly here in Hawaii also. And so I hope that all of you, because you are very concerned about the future, because you're young enough so that it's all before you, but don't think only about yourself. Don't think only about how much money you can make in different kind of activities. Think also about the policies that are necessary, that those who follow you, those who get married and get children, you can understand that the children, yours and other people's children, need and should have the opportunity to call Hawaii home and a good place in which to live. And that's something that, a responsibility that you all have. And my hope is that maybe out of this group will come the genesis for people coming together in different activities, in agriculture and tourism. And in tourism, ask the question, what's our carrying capacity? How many tourists can we have here in Hawaii before people begin to feel, no more Hawaii, we don't want to go there because it's changed so much. And everything that we do, we should have a group talking and planning about what it is that we can do to keep Hawaii the kind of place we want to have it. I listened and I felt very strongly about some of the things that have been said here. And basically, I only wanted to tell you one thing, that the future comes, that the future is going to be that's what you care about, and you work for it, or it's going to come without you participating. And I want to see you participate. I want to see you make it possible for people to look at it and look at this is the kind of future that you want to have. And that's my hope, and that's my purpose to be here today. And I have to run off it. I have a Club 100 annual function that they have. And so I welcome the opportunity to participate to the extent I can. Thank you.
I couldn't help but remember some little bit of history, with this hotel. This hotel was owned and built by a gentleman called H.T. Hayashi. He's probably a good friend of yours too, Governor. And he was, you were his lawyer, see? Small place. And the interesting, when I first met him, there was an interesting aspect to what he was doing, because he was obviously an employer, he was obviously a developer, he ran a construction company, but he had this relationship with the unions. And then I found out that he was the first employer to sign a contract with the Carpenters Union and the other unions. And the reason why he did it was he didn't want to be part of the Big Five boycott of Hawaii. he wanted to see local people earn a working wage. And the trade-off was, as a result, he got some of the best workers to work in his construction company, and he was able to become very successful by working together and working for for people, the common people of Hawaii, for his people, as opposed to standing only for profits. This is kind of what Governor Ariyoshi was talking about. It's kind of what we are here for. I mean, the basic question is not whether you're young, old, or wherever you are on the Democratic Party spectrum. It's why in the world are you a Democrat to start with? Why in the world are you a Democrat to start with? What do you stand for in a time when kaka'akos are building condominiums for millionaires? You know, I went to the presentation of the new condo that they're building at the Ala Shopping Center. And the cheapest condo was for $3.5 million. And it was a fantastic presentation. And if I had $3.5 million, I would buy the condo. You understand? So I am not knocking that condo, really. Because there's a place for everything in Hawaii. What I am suggesting to you, though, is where is condos going up for people who don't have $3.5 million? See, where are the condominiums going up for people that can't afford them? There's some of it, but not enough. And that's where most of our people reside. You know, Governor Ariyoshi began building that Kaka'ako region. We followed up, put in the infrastructure. We built the first 6 condos for senior living, rental, and the like. You see, we need people to care for all of Hawaii's people, to look for everyone in our society, not just those, not just to make a profit, but to do what H.T. Hayashi did, which is to reach across the spectrum. It's okay to make money, it's okay to build hotels, but at the same time, spread prosperity to everybody. What are we going to do about the homeless people lining the streets of Honolulu? See, that's the challenge for young Democrats. What are we going to do? I don't know. That's the future that you're inheriting. I hope someplace in this group of people is someone thinking about dealing with that issue. What are we going to do about the people on Mauna Kea? Mauna Kea started as a vision. Began again from Governor Burns, Democratic Party, and Governor Ariyoshi started promoting the idea of astronomy. Well, actually, King Kalakaua started promoting the idea of astronomy in Hawaii. And I built the first telescope. And it was a bright future. Manoa Thompson was talking about how the Hokulea and the stars are related. And years later, there's total dissatisfaction. PMT might have done everything necessary to get there, but obviously our community is not feeling like they're part of all of this. What is the challenge of making it possible? Who is going to make it compatible so that we can coexist with the idea of a future built on technology and at the same time a future that understands our roots? You see, Mauna Kea is sacred. When you're paddling a canoe in the middle of an ocean and you're coming up and you're counting the miles by the stars, and you get to a point, you need a landmark. You see, that's what the Hokulea does when they come home. They've got to be on the east side of that mountain. And at the right time, when the stars say you've got enough miles, you need to turn left. And if you turn left and you don't see two high peaks, you are lost. You see, that's why they talk about the sacredness of the mountain. That's surely compatible with the idea of astronomy. You know, how do we make all of this happen? I'm not here to provide answers. See, because otherwise this is no fun. Because I can give, I used to do that for a living. I can tell you all about this and that and everything. I'm here to suggest to you that the answers to all of these challenges are in your hands. And you have chosen to begin as Democrats because you believe in people. And that you are going to find the solutions for your generation. Governor dealt with his. I dealt with mine. The city of Kapolei stands because I opened up hundreds of acres of housing. But that is no longer as relevant as what you are going to do about the people today and their challenges. And so we are here today to challenge you to take the leadership, to remember why you are Democrats, and to really seize the future. That is exciting. That is what got me started. Actually, what got me started was I wanted to rebel against these old guys. Yeah. And we had an opportunity to do that. But the idea was to put our own imprint on the future. I found out later on that these people I was rebelling against actually knew what they were doing. But, you know, it didn't stop the energy. So I hope all of you seize the day. I hope all of you create revolution. I hope all of you make an even exciting and more beautiful Hawaii. Aloha.
Rather than comment in generalities, let me suggest a couple of things because of the topic given here. Former governors discuss their views on the future of Hawaii. I want to suggest something to you by going to the past and say that perhaps that something has come full circle, maybe it's karma in a way, and suggest to you what a couple of the obstacles are to whatever future has been outlined or you might contemplate. I believe that if we continue with single-member districts in Hawaii, that the values of the Democratic Party essentially are going to be doomed. Multi-member districts were the hallmark of the capacity in the most practical, realistic terms for the Democratic Party to manifest its values. The history of the Democratic Party, particularly as it blossomed and functioned and succeeded post-World War II, was as a direct result of the capacity for two things to be operating. One we can do something about, that is to say the multi-member districts. One we're going to have a great deal of difficulty in doing anything about, which only emphasizes the necessity of multi-member districts. And that's the fact that we had campaign spending, the campaign expenditure limits up until 1975-76 with the Buckley versus Vallejo decision and the recent decisions in Citizens United, which expanded that. The Buckley versus Vallejo decision essentially said that all money is equal, and the more of it you have, the more equal it is. I guess the parallel would be that nothing prevents the poor and the rich from sleeping under bridges, or under the H1, or over at the Kabalama Canal, or anywhere else, or on Kauai to go over to the trails or something and live in the hinterlands, if you will. But we all know that the rich and the poor are not going to do that. So that only emphasizes for me the necessity of going to the multi-member districts. Why? I will cite myself as an example. I had under the current system of single-member districts and the spending restrictions the spending, non-spending limits, non-spending expenditures that exist today, it is virtually impossible for anyone of modest means, let alone trying to start out, except in particular circumstances, open seats and so on, where they may have a chance to make it into the legislature. And what it emphasizes, especially in the legislature, is what I call political entrepreneurship. What you have is the opportunity for people to simply call themselves Democrats, have no sense of the history of the party or the essential values of the party, except in terms of nodding in that direction verbally, and to essentially set up a series of little baronies across the state. The one person, one vote admonitions that we have legally end up with the multi-member district idea of trying to incorporate whole communities, whole areas, whole districts with significant representation across those districts, across those communities, has been truncated. You go down half a block and you're stuck in another district. There's no sense of continuity. I dare say that any of you in this room right now, if I quizzed you as to what the boundaries exactly are of the district within your vote, you'd have a tough time figuring it out. And if you did know it, the chances are it makes no sense. It's as if it was deliberately gerrymandered, and it hasn't been. It's being done by mathematical formula. What the multi-member districts did, and the reason I'm citing this at such length to you is, as I look around the room, except for, and maybe even for Bernard's point of view, I mean, as a younger elected official, for the three of us here who've experienced the multi-member districts, we may be the only ones in the room who have the visceral knowledge of what it means. In 1974, when I ran for a seat in the 13th district of Honolulu, Makiki, Manoa, it combined a settled residential area in Manoa Valley and the burgeoning Makiki area, where, believe it or not, where Makiki Park is right now, the Hawaii Sugar Planters Association experimental agricultural fields existed. Right? And it may strike those of you living now in urban Honolulu and the core of Honolulu, what are you talking about? Well, you mean the sugar experimentation was taking place? Yes, they didn't call it GMO in those days. And then over a very brief period of time, high-rise apartments went up. Thousands and thousands of people were there. In the multi-member district associated with the 13th district, there were 3 people to be elected. My point here in all of this to you as young people is you didn't have to be first to win. There were 3 people to be elected. You could cast 3 votes if you wanted. You could cast 1 vote. It was called flunking. If you wanted especially to back a particular person, you could vote once and not the other times. When I ran then, I was asking people, please cast that 3rd vote. If you have somebody that you're for, give me a chance. My essential campaign, door to door, was give me a chance. Give me a chance first for you to get to know me at least a little bit. I'll be back. I knocked on the door and I'll be back. And I remember by the end of the campaign, I knocked on the door, and of course, it was answered, a lady answered the door. I could hear the husband in the background. This is Upper Manoa. Who's that? Oh, it's Mr. Abercrombie again. I was Mr. by that time. Mr. Abercrombie, I got no chance. Right? And she said, oh, you've got to excuse my husband. I said, that's all right. I said, that's what I'm asking for. That's what I'm asking for is the chance. I said, I know that this is the third time I've been back to let you know how serious I am about it, so you at least get an idea of my work ethic. I've given you a little bit about my background, my commitment, and so on. And I'm for those two little kids that were peeking around from behind Mama, right? That's who I'm for. Give me a chance. Cast that second or third vote. Give me a shot. If I don't work out, hey, I can be gone the next time. It's a 2-year term. Give me a shot. The reason I'm going with you is that campaigning is personal. It does, you make that connection. Now, I grant you, you could say it was superficial, but the fact is that the other candidates weren't going door to door. They didn't do it. They didn't make that connection. And one final thing about that. How was it then that I was able to succeed? When I did that door-to-door contact at that time, on when I say Makiki, Wilder Avenue, just below and surrounding Punahou School, was where the high-rises, some of you may be living in them right now. They were high-rises. They're only 6 stories, 7 stories. That was high-rises to them. The people in the 4th precinct of the 13th district lived around Honeywell Street and Seaview, just off University Avenue. And they were in little Kapakahi lots, weird little lots that had been carved out. And they were the folks who had gotten away from the plantation, left the plantations, had made their way in life, and had their little bit of Hawaii, and owned those houses, were able to afford those houses, were making the kind of salaries and income that allowed them to be there, and they were in their 60s. They're gone now. But those people in their 60s, those people who had the children and grandchildren, some of whom you may be the great-grandchildren of or the grandchildren of right in this room, they were worried about that, and I said I would fight for them. There was about 400 votes in that area. And people said, you're never going to get those. Those are HAA votes. They're in their 60s. These are retired couples. This long-haired, bearded Holly from the university is never going to get those votes. But I went and said, give me a chance. Here's what I'll do. You can feel, you've got some idea of who I am by the work ethic I'm showing coming door to door. I won that election by 400 votes. 400 votes. Virtually all of the 4th precinct of the 13th district. I'm going into this in detail for you because I am telling you, the saving grace of the Democratic Party was the multi-member district. When I ran for the Senate, there were 4 to be elected. From Manoa through Mo'iliili down to Waikiki. Now, look at the range and of interests and people and communities that are involved in that. The #1 person to be elected was Wadsworth Yee. He was a Republican. And he had an insurance company. He was a businessman. I came in second. And there were 2 others to be elected. So that in your community, if you couldn't get satisfaction from one member, you could go to one of the 3 House of Representative members, or you could go to one of the 4 senators that represented it. And so this is the kind of thing that I think, absent that, given the spending restrictions that are out there now, they said, oh, if we go to single-member districts, we'll spend less money. You're spending more money. More money. More money gets accumulated, and it can pound the opportunity for those to have a chance to expand the base. The whole idea of politics is addition. The whole idea of the Democratic Party always was welcoming people in. When I came in, the first election I was in was the statehood election of 1959. And let me tell you something, people forget. Jack Burns lost the first election. He didn't win the first election, he lost. Bill Quinn won that election. Bill Quinn had been the appointed governor. He won that election. We need the broadest possible participation. With the broadest number of people in the community feeling they've got something to say and someone will listen to them. And that was what the Democratic Party was able to provide with multi-member districts. Participation, communication, satisfaction, that you were being listened to, that you were being heard. Not always agreed with. And that's what allowed me to participate. The identification in those days was not the identity politics, and this is what I want to finish with today. We have moved into an era, and John touched on a little bit about identity politics. So that if you are, if you can attach the word Native Hawaiian, for example, to yourself, well, you got the whole picture. There couldn't possibly be any nuances. There couldn't possibly be any disagreement. You just by saying the phrase, you're supposed to know what that's all about. And there's received doctrine that is out there that can't be questioned. No, that's not the way it was. That's not what the Democratic Party stood for. The Democratic Party stood before. When I was identified as a haole in 1959 with statehood, and in the election in the 1970s and the 60s and the 70s, and when I actually participated, not just from being a soldier in Jack Burns' army or in the Democratic Party, but as a candidate, it was a description, not an explanation. So they said, where's Abercrombie? Oh, the haole guy over there. It was in order to point me out, to differentiate me from why? Yeah, oh, the hippie. You got a hippie guy over there, or whatever. But it was a description. It wasn't an explanation. In the Democratic Party, I got the chance to say, what could I contribute? What did I have to give? What did I have to offer? That was what the spread in the Democratic Party was all about. That's why everybody, that's how we succeeded, was bringing people in and seeing what did they have to contribute. What did they have to say that was worthwhile listening to? How much work effort were they willing to put in to try to bring the principles of the party and the programs of the party and the policy of the parties to fruition? And who you were and what you looked like and what your name was and all the rest of it was simply part of the descriptive history that helped to inform and instruct you in terms of those values. So the bottom line for me is be very, very wary of today's identity politics in a social media context. And if you can translate the Democratic Party policies and programs and values into a renewed effort to restore multi-member districts, I believe that the future that you can have as young Democrats can blossom. And the contributions that you can make and those who believe in the Democratic Party can blossom again. Thank you very much.
Every day, we're frontline, we're meeting the people consistently in everything that we do, whether it be the supermarket, whether it be at schools, events, and all of that. And there's one thing, this gathering right here is just a great opportunity for you as young Democrats, young leaders, future leaders, to really look at the importance of relationships, the importance of being consistent, the importance of being fair, the importance of being balanced in how we conduct ourselves. That is more and more, for me, important. Once we can get that together and we deploy together to really gain the support that we need as a party, and more importantly, to address issues with that kind of perspective, I think is very valuable. So I just wanted to touch on that because I'm supposed to do the closing and I have some things I wanted to share with you. But to sit up here amongst our fellow governors and hear their perspective and wanting to hear your side as well, just wanted to say thank you for the chance, but I'll leave it at that. But that's important to me as mayor and my perspective of how I deal with what I got to deal with every day. And I think that's very important for me. So thank you for the opportunity and we're open for questions, I guess, yes.